Okay, so deep within the beautiful, winding valleys of Madhya Pradesh, India, there lies a place completely cloaked in this dark, really chilling folklore. Welcome to the cursed village of Buramampur. In today's explainer, we're diving into source material that paints a picture of a place holding secrets so terrifying that even the bravest souls of centuries past lived in absolute, constant dread. We're going to piece together exactly what haunts this village and how modern science accidentally collides head-on with ancient nightmares. Let's step into the dark, shall we? Now, I want you to imagine a scenario where your survival depends entirely on just averting your eyes. What would you do if simply laying eyes on an approaching figure meant instant, unavoidable death? In Berhampur, this isn't some fun hypothetical question. It's a localized, geographical reality. It's a cursed law of nature that the locals have had to navigate for generations, and the whole thing centers around one incredibly specific, horrifying phenomenon. So, the folklore here gets very specific. The primary threat hanging over Berhampur is known as the Nishir Molo. According to the accounts we have, these are four absolute monsters. Terrifying entities in the shape of men who walk through the village carrying a cursed coffin, or tabut, right on their shoulders. And they only roam on Saturday nights. The golden rule: if anyone sees them, there's no escape. You do not survive. You are taken. The sheer, suffocating dread these beings inspire literally dictates the entire rhythm of life in this community. To survive a Saturday night in Berhampur, you have to follow strict, unyielding steps. The source introduces us to this young guy named Madan. His father is desperately pleading with him not to leave the house to go drink with his friends. His dad lays out the survival guide. If you hear their footsteps or their chant, Step 1, hide immediately somewhere you absolutely cannot be seen. Step 2, do not look at them. Seriously, not even a glance. And Step 3, hold your breath and wait until their chanting completely fades away. But Madan, well, he dismisses the whole thing as archaic superstition, and with a devastating finality, he steps right out into the foggy, desolate forest path anyway. And that's when he hears it. Heavy footsteps, and a slow, grim chant echoing through the trees. Bam, bam, bosh. Bam, bam, bosh. Madan instantly panics. He dives behind some bushes, breathing heavy, his heart just pounding out of his chest. The voices get closer. And then he makes his fatal mistake. He breaks Step 2. He peeks out with just one eye. He sees the four men. He sees the coffin. Terrified, he ducks back down, holding his breath until the forest goes dead silent. Thinking he's in the clear, he steps back onto the path. But when he turns around, they are standing right behind him. The very next morning, a search party finds Madan frozen in terror near a massive banyan tree, his eyes locked wide open with a horrific final sight. All right, let's switch gears for a second. Meanwhile, hundreds of miles away from the fog and the absolute terror of Berhampur, the scene sharply contrasts. We find ourselves in the cold, modern sterility of a research lab in Delhi. It's 9 a.m. We meet two scientists, Meghna and Ishita, and they are under immense pressure. Their supervisor, Professor Jadev, is demanding results on a critical medical antidote they're supposed to be developing. They are running out of time, and modern science is hitting a brick wall. Actually, scratch that. It's more like a concrete bunker. So what do? They turn to something highly unconventional. Desperate for literally any breakthrough, Ishita pulls out this ancient book of folklore. She points to a specific entry about something called Mrityunjay Amrit. This text describes a legendary, life-extending green liquid. We're basically talking about an elixir of life here. The book claims this miraculous green sap drips from a very specific mythical tree, but only on the night of a full moon. So Ishita proposes they go find this tree, extract the liquid, and test it for their antidote. I know it sounds totally crazy, right? But something on that page completely paralyzes Meghna. As you might guess, it's the illustration. The drawing of the tree bleeding this green liquid exactly matches a recurring, terrifying nightmare Meghna has been having. In her dreams, she's lost in this dark forest, watching the green sap drip, right before this giant, monstrous bird attacks her. The fact that her deeply personal, inexplicable nightmare is perfectly documented in a centuries-old folklore book, that is the chilling hug right there. Now, she doesn't tell Ishita about the nightmare, but she immediately agrees to this insane plan. They pack their bags. Fast forward 5 hours of travel later, and the trap begins to close. The girls arrive at a towering, imposing gate bearing the name Berhampur. Yup, the very same cursed village.
Of course, they are entirely unaware of the Nishir Molo, the Coffin, or any of those strict rules of survival we talked about. They are just two scientists looking for a mythical tree in the woods. But the village absolutely knows they've arrived. The literal exact moment Meghna and Nishita step foot inside those village gates, nature violently reacts. The warm, sunny day just vanishes. Poof. Thick, dark clouds swallow the sun, and a sudden, violent windstorm kicks up, blasting dust into the air. Down at the village square, the Mukhya, that's the village chief, is absolutely stunned. The temperature drops rapidly. It's almost as if the village itself, the very soil, is responding to Meghna's presence. And the terrible omens? Yeah, they don't stop with the weather. The girls introduce themselves to the Mukhya, claiming they're just students doing historical research on rural villages, to hide their true motive. The Mukhya is hospitable. He kindly offers to let them stay in his home. But the second he brings them inside, the sacred flame burning in the household temple mysteriously and violently blows out. And get this, the village priest down at the main temple experiences the exact same terrifying phenomenon at the exact same time. The sacred lights are dying. While settling in at the Mukhya's house, the girls meet his son, Anuj. Trying to play the part of eager historians, they casually ask if there's anything ancient in the village to check out. Anuj tells them about King Suraj Ban's 400-year-old ruined palace. Immediately, Ishita sees an opportunity. She thinks they can sneak out to the ruins tonight and then convince Anuj to take them into the forest tomorrow to secretly look for the tree. Let's be real, this is an incredibly foolish plan. Sneaking out into a cursed village under the cover of darkness once the parents are asleep? No way this ends well. So let's track the timeline of that night, because it becomes a rapid descent into a claustrophobic nightmare. At 11:45 p.m., Anuj, Meghna, and Ishita sneak out into the pitch-black streets. By midnight, the unnatural, howling storm has intensified so much it's practically pushing them back. And just 5 minutes later, at 12:05 a.m., deep within the shadows of the village, the ancient entities that had been dormant for years finally awaken. Despite the storm, the trio reaches the towering, imposing silhouette of King Suraj Ban's palace. The main doors have been jammed shut for centuries, obviously, so they break in through an old, heavy window and drop down into the darkness. Ishita starts snapping photos with her camera flash, but Meghna's frozen. She looks around the decaying 400-year-old architecture, and this massive wave of eerie realization washes over her. She has absolutely never been here before in her life, yet the corridors, the arches, the entire layout, it all feels unnervingly familiar to her, just like the bleeding tree. But before she can even begin to process why she remembers the inside of a 400-year-old palace, the wind carries a sound through the village. A hushed, terrifying sound that cuts right through the roaring storm. Bam, bam, bash, bam, bam, bash. The cursed chant of the Nishir Molo begins to echo through the sleeping, stormy streets of Brahmpur once again. The reaction across the village is just sheer, paralyzed terror. The priest, who had been sensing dark energy all day, awakens in a total panic. Everyday villagers, hearing the heavy thud of the coffin bearers, quickly hide under their blankets, cowering silently in their homes, just praying their doors hold. The Mukhya wakes up, his eyes wide with horror, instantly realizing the Nishir Molo have returned from their slumber. The nightmare is back. But of course, not everyone is safe inside. The source introduces two local guys, Sampath and Kapta. They're gamblers, and they've been sitting out near the edge of the forest playing cards. The storm has made it impossible to see, but Kapta was losing, so Sampath absolutely refused to let him leave. Because of their sheer, foolish greed, they are trapped outside while that chant grows louder and louder. They are breaking the ultimate survival rule of Berhampur. Simultaneously, back inside the pitch-black palace, the panic is exploding. Meghna, Ishita, and Anuj are completely oblivious to the folklore and the actual danger outside. But suddenly, they hear a sound echoing down the dark stone corridor. Thud, thud, thud. It sounds exactly like a massive soldier pacing in heavy boots. But as they shine their flashlights down the long, empty hall, they see absolutely no one. The footsteps are completely invisible. Out in the forest, things are reaching a terrifying boiling point. Sampath and Kapta, struggling against the harsh wind, look up from their cards. Emerging from the thick fog, chanting their dark mantra, are the four Nishir Molo, carrying the heavy coffin on their shoulders. The gamblers freeze. They can't hide. They can't run. The four towering entities step directly in front of the freezing gamblers and just stop.
Their glowing red eyes lock onto the two men. Cut back to the palace, and the panic is peaking. The invisible, heavy footsteps suddenly stop, and right in front of Meghna, Ishita, and Anuj, a massive, ancient wooden door slowly, agonizingly begins to creak open entirely on its own. The trio jumps back, absolutely terrified, shining their lights toward the expanding black void of the doorway, just waiting to see what is about to step out from that 400-year-old darkness. At that exact same horrifying second, out in the howling storm, the Nishir Malo lower the wooden coffin from their shoulders. The lid of the taboot slowly, heavily creaks open. Sampat and Kapta can only stare into it, helplessly witnessing whatever monstrous entity is resting inside. An agonizing, absolute nightmare of a scream tears through the forest, cutting clean over the howling wind. It's a sound of absolute doom from the gamblers, and it echoes across the entire village, chilling every single local cowering in their bed. The village knows exactly what that scream means. The Nishir Molo have claimed their victims. And that is exactly where the source material drops us off, plunging us into a massive, chilling cliffhanger. It leaves us with all these pieces of a dark puzzle: Meghna's impossible memories, the life-extending green liquid, the violent storm, and that deadly coffin. Who or what stepped out of that door in the palace, and what terrifying horror was lying in wait inside that coffin out in the woods? It's a brilliantly structured narrative that really forces us to question the boundaries between ancient folklore and reality. So what do you think connects Meghna's nightmares to the cursed village of Berhampur? Keep questioning, keep exploring, and I'll see you in the next explainer.